Welcome to the Conscious Kinky podcast, where we explore sexuality, connection, and power through awareness and intentional choice.
At the Kink Collective, we help people reframe their relationship with sexuality, build deeper connections, and become safe spaces in the world.
Each episode invites reflection, not performance.
And the conversation continues inside Conscious Conversations, our live community space. Welcome to the conversation.
What if discipline isn't punishment?
What if discipline isn't control or shame or pressure or forcing yourself into being perfect?
What if discipline is actually devotion? This is a newer concept.
I love that.
This is a newer concept for me over the last 2 months now.
Yeah?
Yeah. What if discipline is actually devotion? Devotion to the person you're becoming, devotion to the life you say you want, and devotion to the values you keep naming.
Because a lot of people want change, but resist the structure that would actually support it.
They want trust, but resist consistency.
They want growth, but resist practice.
They want freedom, but they keep choosing the patterns that keep them stuck.
So today we are asking, what if discipline is not the enemy of freedom?
What if discipline is what helps freedom become real?
Okay, so I'm going to feel called out the whole time. Not for nothing. All right, welcome to the Conscious Kinky podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Joshua.
This podcast exists to help people understand themselves more clearly, relate more honestly, and stop repeating patterns they don't fully understand yet.
This month, we're in month 10. The theme is choice, discipline, and integrity.
Last week, we opened the month with choice, the moment that awareness becomes action.
We talked about the moment when you can see the pattern and the old response is still available, where defensiveness is available, avoidance and control is still available, where we're still erasing ourselves and shutting down where that's still available.
And the question was, what do I choose now?
Today, we move into discipline, because choice becomes stronger when it has practice, and practice becomes more sustainable when it has structure.
This episode is not about discipline as punishment. It's not about beating yourself into growth. It's not about shame or even rigidity.
This episode is about discipline as devotion, as care. Discipline is the structure that helps your values become embodied.
Because if I say something matters to me, but I never create a practice around it, then I may value the idea of it more than I'm actually living it.
And that's where this episode begins. So The theme for month 10 is this. Your growth becomes real through the choices you repeat.
So week 1 was choice. What do I do in the moment when I can see the old pattern, I still have access to it?
Week 2 is discipline. What supports me in choosing differently again and again?
Week 3 will be integrity, when my behavior begins to match my values.
And week 4 will be the repeated choice, building a life that reflects the work.
So this week matters because discipline is what helps choice survive the moment.
And that's important in this whole process. A lot of us make good choices when we feel inspired, when shit is good, when we're calm, clear, cool, calm, and collected, when we're motivated, when everything is going right, when we just had a breakthrough.
But what happens when we are tired, activated, disappointed, lonely, afraid, under pressure, tempted by the old pattern? This is going to get me.
That is where discipline becomes necessary.
Not discipline as punishment. Discipline as structure, as remembrance. Discipline is devotion to the self you're practicing to become.
Because without discipline, choice can remain occasional. With discipline, choice becomes a path. I've had to learn that discipline is not just about getting things done. It's about staying connected to what I say matters when the feeling fades.
That's such a distinction, a big distinction, right? Because a lot of us think discipline is only about productivity. Wake up early, finish the task, stick to the schedule, do the thing, whatever the thing is.
And those things are actually a part of discipline, can actually be a part of discipline. But for this work, discipline is deeper than productivity. Discipline is relational, emotional, spiritual. It's about integrity.
It's the discipline to pause when you want to react. Discipline to tell the truth when smoothing things over would be easier. The discipline to return to a conversation when avoiding it would feel more comfortable.
The discipline to not make your shame someone else's responsibility. The discipline to listen before defending, or to follow through after you say something matters.
And that's a different kind of discipline. It's quieter, but it changes how people experience you.
For me, I've had seasons where I wanted the outcome of discipline without the practice of it. I wanted more trust and steadiness. I wanted more consistency and clarity. But I had to ask, what structure am I actually giving myself to become that, to support that?
That question can be confronting because sometimes we say, I want to be more grounded, but we don't practice grounding.
Sometimes we say, I want to communicate better. I'm guilty of this one. But then I don't practice slowing down before responding.
So sometimes we can say, I want to be more accountable, but then we don't create the rhythm that helps us to return, repair, and follow through.
Mm-hmm. I'm guilty of that, 100%. And at some point I had to stop romanticizing the version of me I wanted to become. And I needed to start building the structure that version of me would need to come.
That's discipline, not punishment, but think of it as devotion.
Devotion to becoming someone whose values can be trusted. Now let's reframe discipline.
Because many people have a wounded relationship with that word.
One of them, right? For some people, like myself, for many years until I was 47, discipline meant punishment. It meant being corrected harshly. It also meant being shamed for not doing enough and being controlled.
For some people, discipline means rigidity. No softness, no flexibility, no room for humanity.
Yeah. For others, discipline means pressure. The demand to perform or to produce, to prove or to become acceptable.
So when we say discipline, some people's bodies immediately brace.
And that makes 100% sense. If discipline has only ever been used against you, it may not feel like care, nevertheless self-care.
But what if discipline could be reclaimed?
That's what I've been working on. Because what if it didn't mean you're not enough, so do more?
What if discipline is you matter enough to be supported?
What if it's not force yourself?
But what if discipline instead is build a structure that helps you return?
What if discipline wasn't punish the part of you that struggles?
What if discipline would be instead care for the part of you that forgets, avoids, rushes, or reacts?
Reframing this word is hugely important.
Yeah.
And that's the discipline we're talking about. As devotion, discipline as support, as a container for becoming who you know you can be, who you're aiming to become.
Yeah.
Discipline as devotion means I do not only practice when I feel it.
It means I return to what matters because it matters.
If honesty matters, I practice telling the truth before resentment builds.
If repair matters, I practice returning after the rupture.
If safety matters, I practice slowing down, naming my state, and honoring boundaries.
If accountability matters, it means I practice owning my part without making someone chase me for it.
If connection matters, I practice presence, not just intensity, not just the availability when it's convenient, presence.
Devotion is different from motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Devotion remembers.
And that's a strong line to remember. Motivation comes and it goes. Devotion remembers.
So devotion says, even when I'm tired, this still matters. Even when I'm uncomfortable, this still matters. Even when the old pattern is easier, this is what matters.
And discipline is a practice that helps devotion become visible.
So a lot of people resist structure even when structure would help them.
They say they want change, but they resist the routine. They resist the check-in. They resist the pause or the boundary or the having to get up in the morning to go running. They resist the calendar and they resist the accountability.
Sometimes because structure feels restrictive. Sometimes because structure makes the commitment real. Sometimes because without structure, they can keep the fantasy of change alive without having to practice it.
Yeah, and a lot of this resonates with me because it's all over the place. It's important. Sometimes the absence of structure lets us keep believing that we're about to change.
Because if there is no structure, there's also no clear evidence of whether or not we're practicing it.
Yeah. I'm working on it. Can remain vague forever if there's no practice attached.
But discipline asks, what does working on it actually mean? When do I practice? How do I know I'm practicing? What changes when I'm activated? Who or what helps me stay accountable?
The level of structure can feel confronting, 100%, because it turns intention into action. It calls you up to the plate.
And action shows you the truth. Am I practicing this? Or am I just identifying with the idea of practicing it?
Let's talk about motivation versus practice. Motivation is useful, but motivation is not always going to be enough.
Motivation is the feeling that says, I want to do this. I feel ready. I feel inspired. I feel clear.
But practice is what carries when motivation leaves.
Because motivation isn't always there, especially when you're triggered.
Motivation will not always be there when someone gives you feedback.
Motivation won't always be there when you need to apologize.
It won't always be there when you have to set a boundary either.
And sometimes motivation will leave you just when the old pattern feels easier.
Yeah. That's why discipline matters. What discipline brings into the discussion is, I may not feel inspired right now, but I know what I'm practicing.
It gives you a path when the feeling is not available.
Without discipline, we often wait to feel ready. But growth often requires us to practice before we feel ready.
And that's why this month follows choice. Choice asks, what do I do now?
Discipline in this scenario is going to ask, what helps me keep choosing? What helps me stay in that direction in alignment?
Yeah. One of the biggest misunderstandings is that discipline takes away freedom.
But sometimes the lack of discipline is what keeps us trapped. It's what's kept me trapped.
If I don't practice telling the truth, I'm not free. I'm managed by fear.
If I do not practice pausing and maintaining that influence and control over myself, I'm not free. I'm driven by reaction.
If I don't practice follow through, I'm not free. I'm trapped in inconsistency.
When I don't practice boundaries, I'm not free. I'm controlled by resentment, obligation, and fear of disappointment.
So discipline is not always a cage. Sometimes discipline is what opens the door.
Because the structure creates more choice. It introduces more clarity and capacity. And it builds self-trust.
And this is why we have to ask, where do I call it freedom when it's actually avoidance?
Ouch. That question stings. Because avoidance often dresses and can feel like freedom.
Yeah, things like, I don't want to be boxed in. I don't want to be controlled. I'll do it when I feel ready. I'm just going with the flow.
And sometimes that's true. There are times for flow. There are times for softness. There's times for flexibility.
But there are also times when going with the flow means keeping the same old river that keeps taking you to the same old place.
I remember one time 8 years ago. Discipline in this sense. It says, maybe I need a different riverbank. Maybe I need a container. Maybe I need a practice that helps me choose the direction I say I want. And that's what happened when we met.
Yeah.
Discipline builds self-trust.
Because every time you keep a small commitment to yourself, you teach yourself, I can rely on me.
I can rely on me. Every time you return to a practice, you teach yourself, I don't have to be perfect to be consistent.
Every time you pause instead of react, you teach yourself, I can choose differently. This lands so hard.
Every time you follow through, you're showing yourself that your words do matter.
Self-trust is not built through grand declarations. It's built through repeated evidence, small steps done over and over again.
That's why discipline can be such a loving practice. It gives you evidence that you're becoming trustworthy to yourself.
And it changes how you relate to others. Because if you can't trust yourself to keep your word, it becomes harder to build trustworthy relationships.
When you become more consistent with yourself, you often become more reliable with others too.
And this is where discipline becomes relational. People experience your steadiness. They begin to experience your follow-through, your care, your return, and your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah? So it's important to say that discipline without shame is different from perfectionism.
Yeah. Perfectionism says, if I miss once, I failed.
Discipline just simply invites us to return to the practice.
Perfectionism says, I must do this flawlessly.
Discipline just simply says, practice. Perfectionism says, my worth depends on my performance, where discipline says, my practice supports who I'm becoming.
And that's a major difference. Sorry, I've been sick. I wanted to get off camera so I can cough my lungs off.
If discipline becomes shame, the practice will eventually break.
You'll avoid it. I've avoided it. I've grown to resentment with it and then rebelled against it. I've used it in the past to measure my own worth. And I've definitely abandoned it when I couldn't do it perfectly.
But discipline rooted in care says, when I miss, I'll return. When I avoid, I'll notice it. When I fall out of rhythm, I'll begin again. When I fail to practice, I learn what support was missing.
And that's discipline that can last. Because it has room just for being a fucking human being.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point of this, is the humanity behind it. Just, we're human beings. Now let's make this practical. Discipline does not have to be complicated.
Sometimes the most powerful disciplines are simple.
A daily pause before responding to messages that activate you.
A weekly check-in with yourself. Where did I choose from my values this week? Where did I choose from my pattern instead?
Yeah. A repair practice. If I avoid a hard conversation, I return within 24 hours.
I love that.
Yeah.
A boundary practice. I don't say yes in the moment when I know I need time to check in.
A feedback practice. When someone names impact, I repeat what I heard before I explain.
A grounding practice can look like 3 breaths before a difficult conversation.
A truth practice. Once a day, I name what I'm actually feeling instead of what sounds acceptable.
A follow-through practice would be, if I say I will do something, I write it down and come back to it. I need that for the memory I don't have.
It's simple, specific, and repeatable.
And that's discipline. It's not dramatic. It's not performative. It's sustainable.
Let's bring into the frameworks. ICAVs and discipline. And we're not going to be repeating definitions, but we're going to be using them as we always do.
Right.
I for introspection. Introspection asks, what is my current relationship with discipline? Do I experience discipline as care or punishment? Do I experience discipline as pressure, control, failure? Do I experience it as freedom and devotion?
It also asks, where am I avoiding structure because structure would reveal whether I am actually practicing or not? Where am I relying on feelings or wanting to do something that carries me instead of needs a rhythm?
Introspection helps us understand that discipline, what discipline brings up before we try to practice it. Next is C for container.
Container asks, what routines, agreements, or practices support my growth?
A container can look like a few things. A container can be time, a reminder, a script, a pause, a weekly group, a journal prompt. It can be a clear agreement, a support person, a boundary.
They're all good things, right? A container is what makes discipline possible without having to rely only on willpower.
Willpower. Ugh. God knows I've tried pushing through things. It gives your growth somewhere to live, and that's extremely important. Next is A for authenticity. And authenticity asks, am I disciplined around what actually matters to me?
That question matters because sometimes we are disciplined around appearance, but not around the truth.
Yeah. Disciplined around productivity, but not around presence.
Disciplined around being seen as good, but not around becoming honest.
Disciplined around helping others, but not around caring for ourselves.
So authenticity asks, does my discipline reflect my values? Or does it reflect the image I'm trying to maintain?
Yeah, that's a hard one to get from under.
V is for vulnerability. Vulnerability asks, can I admit where I need structure and support?
And that can be very humbling because sometimes I want to believe I should just be able to do this. I shouldn't need reminders. I don't need accountability. I shouldn't need help.
But needing structure is not failure. It's honesty.
And it's necessary.
Right.
Vulnerability lets us say, I need support here. I need a rhythm. I need a pause practice. It says I need a container that helps me not abandon this or myself. Next is S for safety. And safety asks, does my discipline create more stability, trust, and self-respect?
Healthy discipline should not make you feel less human. It should not make you hate yourself. It shouldn't make you rigid in a way that disconnects you from life.
Healthy discipline creates more room. It introduces more clarity, more reliability, self-trust. It introduces more relational trust.
Safety helps us ask, is this discipline supporting my becoming or punishing my humanity?
Or punishing my humanity.
All right, so now let's take a look at discipline through the lens of MISS or MISS. Because discipline is not only internal, it affects how people experience us. So M is for meet. At the meet stage, discipline asks, can I meet my resistance honestly?
It asks, can I admit I resist structure? I resist accountability and consistency. I resist being seen in the places where I'm not yet practicing.
Meeting the resistance honestly is the first step. Because if we pretend we're not resisting, we can't work with it. I can't see you. I is for invest.
At the invest stage, discipline asks a few things. Am I willing to invest repeated effort into who I'm becoming?
Not one powerful conversation, not one breakthrough.
Aha!
But repeated effort. I'm so guilty of this.
That's where discipline becomes devotion. I keep returning because the person I'm becoming matters.
S is for shared information. At the shared information stage, discipline asks, can I name the practices that support me?
That might sound like, I need time before I answer. I'm practicing not saying yes too quickly. I'm working on returning to hard conversations instead of avoiding them. I'm using a weekly check-in to stay honest.
When we can name our practices, people can understand the structure we're building. Make sense? S is for shared experience.
At the share experience stage, discipline asks, can others experience my discipline as consistency, care, and reliability?
Do people experience your follow through, your pause, the fact that you do return, your honesty, your repair, or your steadiness?
That is where discipline becomes relational. People feel the structure through how you move. That's real.
Yeah.
So now we're going to bring this back to you, because every one of us has a relationship to discipline. Some of us crave it, some of us resist it. I've resisted it for a long time. Some of us use it to punish ourselves. Some of us avoid it because it feels like control.
All right, these questions we're about to go through are not here to shame you into doing more. They're here to help you ask, what kind of structure would actually support the person I'm becoming?
Take your time, bring them into your journal, bring them into conscious conversations on Tuesday and starting in September on Saturday afternoons, and ask yourself, what if discipline could be an act of love? When I discovered discipline as an act of devotion, it really changed my relationship with it.
Well, I'm just encountering this for the first time, so.
So set one, awareness and orientation. For the first set, take about 3 minutes per question. Let us read the question, then pause, answer it, and then come back. The goal is to understand your relationship with discipline, not to punish yourself, not to perform productivity, to see what discipline brings up inside of you. Question number 1, what does discipline bring up in me? Do I associate it with punishment, control, pressure, failure, devotion? Do I associate it with care, freedom, self-respect? What does my body feel when I hear that word? So discipline as devotion is newer for me. Because for my entire life before then, it was discipline as punishment. And when I heard discipline as devotion, I was like, oh my God, let punishment mean punishment. And let devotion mean dedication. Discipline mean dedication, devotion to self.
Yeah, I think up until now, discipline has sound, we haven't used the word, but discipline sounds like drudgery to me. It sounds like dragging myself along to do things I have to do that I don't want to do. You know, and the fight that goes on inside myself to do the things that I don't want to do is what discipline has felt like. And the relationship I have the hardest time with is myself. It's easier for me to practice a little bit of discipline around boundary setting and, you know, some of the stuff we've been talking about as it relates to other people. I think because I place such a high value on relationships with other people. And for some reason, I don't have as high a value on the relationship with myself.
Yeah, I think that's a familiar thing. I've come across that with a lot of people in our groups, that the relationship with self almost comes second.
Yeah.
Number 2, where do I resist the structure that would actually support me? Where do I know what would help but avoid committing to it? Where would structure make the work more real? I think the absence of discipline in building a daily or weekly practice of structure has prevented me from getting to where I want to go in goal setting.
Yeah.
And what that means is a fucking schedule. Waking up, doing X, Y, and Z, ABC. I mean, there's more structure now than there was in the past, but I want to make it even more disciplined structure. Like Mondays I do the men's work, Tuesdays I do the Master Joshua work, Wednesdays I do the Kinky Collective work, and then it's like Thursdays and Fridays I set that for like networking and the community shit.
So getting disciplined about the work you do.
Yeah.
And how you do it,
And
like
how
a
I
work
do it.
schedule.
Like
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah, yeah. For me, the biggest thing has to do with all of the self-care stuff. Discipline around exercise, around eating right, around drinking water, you know, around all of that stuff. And that has to do with the relationship with me. And then, you know, discipline around, you know, as we're talking about it relationally, the part where I show up and tell the truth, being disciplined about every time I feel that choked up feeling, making sure that I pause and ask for a moment so I can find my words and then actually speak into what it is that's really happening for me. That can be discipline as devotion, like to myself. Again, it's for me, it is a lot about my relationship with myself.
Yeah. Number 3, where am I relying on motivation instead of practice? Where do I only follow through when I feel inspired, energized, emotionally ready? Where does the practice disappear when the feeling fades?
This is something that I'm actually going to do a social media piece about. The phrase that I know that as is I can't feel my way into right acting. I have to act my way into right feeling. Because if I wait to feel like to do half the things I need to do, I'll never do them. If I wait to feel like I want to go to the gym, I'm never going to the gym. Like, I got to go to the gym, and then I feel better for doing it after it's done. I get the emotional payoff after I've done that next right thing. And that's what's really true for me, is because if I wait to feel like any of it, like I went to the grocery store yesterday because I believe that we should be eating better. And we didn't have the food in the house. I didn't want to go to the store. And I had a meltdown when I got back because it was hot and I was tired. But the payoff was like making dinner last night.
And it was great.
And having fed us all healthy food, right? And so that's what that looks like, practicing the right thing and then feeling good about it gets to come afterwards.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah. For myself, it's around schedules. I just want to double check. Where am I relying on motivation instead of practice? Yeah, it's my daily schedule. It's like I get up. It's like, all right, let's move. But I don't have the system in place to say. I mean, but that's not true because I have the calendar. And oftentimes you'll see me speaking from old places, and it's like I have to step into understanding that I am sticking to getting things done. I am devoted to change, and I have changed things on waking up earlier, getting things done, sticking to a schedule, using my calendar. Like I am doing it. I just haven't given myself the credit for it.
Yeah. And as we're talking about all this, I'm thinking, what if we held each other accountable for the things we want to do?
Yeah.
I'm afraid to ask for that because there's a part of me that doesn't. I know, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to be held accountable.
So what do you want to do?
All the things I'm talking about. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. I want to, do all the healthy stuff. If I could just get to the gym 3 times a week, that big burden would be off my head.
But you do usually make it 3 times a week.
2 if I'm lucky.
What? All right. Well, we'll change that.
And I'll get you up and on schedule.
I'm up on schedule. Number 4. What pattern keeps growing because I've not given myself enough structure? What pattern keeps growing because I've not given myself enough structure? What keeps repeating because there's no container to interrupt it? What old pattern benefits from the lack of structure?
For me, it's just the shooting myself in the foot pattern, right? The lack of structure. If I don't have structure, because I do these big events that I go to, these big motivational events, and I come off of them all fired up. And then eventually, the motivation falls off, and then I tell myself it's okay not to do this or to do this or whatever. And then I get mad at myself, right? It's like the old pattern of just reverting to baseline, right? Not eating so healthy, blah, blah, blah. All of the baseline stuff starts to creep back in. And it's because motivation wears off. And so I don't have this discipline as devotion. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. This word for discipline as devotion, which for me translates as genuine self-care. Do I care about myself enough to do the things that I need to be disciplined to do?
Yeah.
And that's almost easier to have than I need to do it because I'm a bad person if I don't.
Do I care about myself enough?
Right. Because I'm a failure if I don't have the discipline to do what I need to do.
So for myself, it's around substances. I think because devotion is how I've been working with it too, right? It's like devotion to do what's right for me.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll check myself if I feel myself getting uncertain,
yeah,
or doubtful. It's like that's where devotion kicks in.
Yeah.
And devotion as discipline to self. Let me prioritize myself and not only just make it okay, but make it important.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been watching you do it too. All right. So before moving into the second round of questions, let's just pause for a moment. Take a breath. Let the first set settle. And let's ask ourselves these two questions. In one sentence, what did you notice about yourself in that set of questions? And then number two, what's one word you're leaving this set of questions with?
And let that be enough. You don't have to turn it into a full explanation. Just notice what surfaced. And what's surfacing for me is pancakes and bacon. It's 9:45. We're recording this. This is going to drop in tomorrow, right?
Or next week.
Or next week. I'm starving.
Yeah, I know. I'm hungry too.
All right. Set 2, integration and practice.
The second set is about integration. Not just understanding your relationship with discipline, but imagining discipline as support, devotion, and care, like we've been talking about. Again, take about 3 minutes per question. So here's the next question. What would discipline look like if it came from devotion instead of shame? How would it feel different in my body? What different choices might I make, or language would I use? What would my follow-through look like, right? What would discipline feel like if it was for me and not against me?
When I discovered this discipline as devotion versus shame or punishment, it made me, there's more pride. I feel better about the sacrifice.
Yeah. I think for me, discipline as devotion would change it. It would soften it for me. Instead of having a harsh, angry voice in my head trying to slave drive me into doing what is the next right thing, I could encourage myself to do it because I care about myself and because I want what's best for me. And that would change everything. That it would feel different if it was for me and not against me. Yeah. That's exactly it. All right. So what practice would help me become more trustworthy to myself? What repeated action would build self-trust? A pause, a boundary, a check-in, a repair rhythm, maybe a truth practice, some commitment I actually keep. And a lot of these suggestions are about the relationship pieces, right? And as I said, I have an easier time in becoming more trustworthy to others than I do to myself, right? Which is the initial question, is what practice would help me become more trustworthy to myself? I mean, literally, like if I could just put in 3 days a week at the gym and do it for 2 weeks consistently, I would probably, in 2 weeks' time, I'd feel better about myself than I do every day, than the butt kicking I give myself.
Consistency is the word I would use.
Yeah.
Consistency, just the ability to execute it consistently.
Yeah.
Will do that. It allowed me to know that I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can be the change, that I am the change because I'm committed to myself.
Yeah. All right. Where do I need a simple structure that I can actually keep? So that would look like a daily pause, a weekly check-in, maybe practicing a boundary, some journal prompt for your writing, a calendar reminder, having an accountability partner, or making a rhythm for your repair. What structure would be simple enough to repeat?
I think an accountability partner would help in something like that. Just someone to talk to about if I have been and why haven't I been able to.
Yeah. I could use an accountability partner, but not a drill instructor. Because I react. I'm like, that brings out my inner tantrum throwing child. Like, you can't make me, right? And I don't want pushback on that. He is an inner drill instructor, not for nothing.
That's how the Marines are. Right?
Yeah.
You said you wanted to do it. Well, let's go. Let's get up and do it.
Yeah. But a simple structure. And at the same time, the flexibility. Like some of the things that I had brought into my life as of the last big event that I did was to drink lemon water first thing in the morning. And I'm doing that consistently. And then make a green drink. The green drink, I've been a little bit flimsy about in the last day or two, and it had to do with supplies and whatnot. But I also recognize that, like, I could not be so rigid about when, right? Like, I take the dogs for a walk, I come back and I have my lemon water. Maybe I have to do OPP first, and then I can make my green drink. It's like, and that's that piece about not having to be so rigid that I have to do it in a certain order, in a certain way, right? Like the other day I went to the gym after I went to my meeting, rather than making myself go to the gym and miss my meeting. I did my meeting and then I took myself to the gym. It meant getting home a little bit later and starting my day a little bit later, but I didn't seem to lose any productivity on account of it. So giving myself permission to be a little flexible while still doing the things that matter for me to do. That's what that structure looks like, and is easier to repeat if I keep a little flexibility in it while not letting myself off the hook for the things I need to do.
Yeah.
Did you answer that?
I think I did.
All right.
Did I?
All right. Next question.
Hold on. Did I?
This would be the word structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I said accountability partner, like someone
You did. Sorry about that.
to
All right.
to reflect it back to me.
Yeah.
And to question me and challenge me on it. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. And we can do that.
All right, number 8. What am I willing to practice even when it's inconvenient, unglamorous, or unseen? What matters enough to keep choosing without immediate reward? What practice reflects who I'm becoming even when nobody applauds it? I think that's a reflection thing for me about self accountability, responsibility, to just to call myself in.
Yeah. And I always want pats on my back for doing the things I'm supposed to do, right? For the things I don't want to do, right? There's nobody there at the gym with me. There's nobody there to tell whether or not, like the other day I didn't walk the dogs before I went, and then it ground on me, right? So I normally do 20 minutes on the treadmill. So I did 15 minutes because somehow I thought shaving that 5 minutes off was going to get me back to walk the dogs sooner or something. It wanted to relieve how I was feeling about it. And that's okay, right? It's like, it's a practice even when it's inconvenient, unglamorous, or unseen, right? Like,
What if the practice for myself is telling on myself? Telling, hey, I wanted to go to the gym this morning and I didn't because of A, B, C, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So that I can introduce that acknowledgement of inaction. Because it's not, because I'm not using it to beat myself up.
right.
But it's about calling myself out
Yeah.
on where I dropped the ball.
Yeah. And I can do that too with the other thing I can do in the relationship end is when I don't tell the truth. Like if yesterday I had left without telling you what was going on, I could have come back
Yeah.
afterwards. Like, so the discipline would be, if I miss an opportunity to tell the truth, to allow myself to return. As one of the tools we've talked about is returning, right? So return to the person and say, hey, earlier when you asked me how I was doing and I said I was okay, I really wasn't, and here's what was going on with me, right? So that's a practice that could be a discipline, like, so that I don't let myself off the hook because I didn't do it in the moment.
Yeah. Thank you, Mama. So our question review. Before we close, let's review the questions for this upcoming Conscious Conversations, Month 10, Episode 2. Discipline. Devotion to who I'm becoming. Set 1, awareness and orientation. Question number 1, what does discipline bring up in me?
2, where do I resist the structure that would actually support me?
3, where am I relying on motivation instead of practice?
And what pattern keeps growing because I've not given myself enough structure? Then we have our 2 between round questions, right? In one sentence, what did you notice about yourself in that set of questions? And in one word, what are you leaving that set of questions with?
Set 2, integration and practice. Question number 5, what would discipline look like if it came from devotion instead of shame?
Question number 6, what practice would help me become more trustworthy to myself?
7, where do I need simple structure that I can actually keep?
And 8, what am I willing to practice even when it's inconvenient, unglamorous, or unseen? So discipline is not here to punish you or me, not in this work.
Discipline is here to support the person you say you're becoming, to give your values somewhere to live, to help your choices survive the moment when motivation fades.
Discipline helps us stop relying on inspiration alone. It helps us create a structure for honesty, repair, boundaries, presence, and follow-through.
That's exactly what we practice inside Conscious Conversations every Tuesday night, and starting in September, Saturdays afternoon. A live guided space where you can reflect, you can speak with others, you can speak your truth, you can hear yourself and hear others, expand your perspectives, notice your patterns, practice these questions in real time, and stay connected to the work long enough for it to actually change your life.
Conscious Conversations meets every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And for $30 a month, you get access to that live weekly discussion group. It's a place to reflect, practice, and stay connected to the work.
And for those who want more support, the Integration Circle, starting in September, gives you the Tuesday and Saturday conversations, a private WhatsApp group, a deeper dive in community who is doing this emotional work, and a monthly live session with us where you can ask questions, process what's coming up, and get support integrating what you're learning.
New podcast episodes are released on Wednesdays. So each week, you will have the episode to sit with before bringing the work into the Tuesday night conversation or the Saturday afternoon conversation, right? So what did we learn? Discipline doesn't have to be a weapon.
It can be a promise.
A promise to return.
A promise to practice.
I like this. A promise to stop abandoning what you say matters.
So instead of asking, how do I force myself?
Try asking, what structure would support the person I am becoming?
And that question can change your relationship to discipline.
And it can help your values become visible through the way that you live.
Yeah.
I like this.
So next week, we continue month 10 with integrity. When my behavior matches my values.
Because discipline is not just about structure. It's about alignment. It's about whether people can experience the values we say we hold.
So next week, we're going to ask, where does my behavior still not match what I say I value? What value do I talk about more than I practice? And what would it look like to close that gap?
That's where we're going next.
New episodes are released every Wednesday, and the work continues inside Conscious Conversations every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and starting in September at noon on Saturdays.
Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to be here with you, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you there.